Alright, Bread, what you got for us? So Bread has Latios, Entei. Ooh, I've always wanted to use Entei. King Gambit, Fluttermane, Iron Hands, and Ogerpon. So, this team definitely feels like, hey, I don't want to bring in Incineroar, mainly because of King Gambit, Ogerpon, and Entei. Rillaboom looked really good against those two. I think it definitely has problems against Entei. But Primarina honestly looks great against a lot of the threats there. I think one problem with Primarina, obviously, is I had to watch out for Horn Leech from Ogerpon, but Grass Terra looks really good. So if I find a way to deal with Entei pretty early on, I could probably work with Primarina to clean up the rest of the game with Grass Terra. So that's just something to think about. Blood Moon, Ursaluna, I feel like could fit in the equation. I honestly feel like Dusclops, Farigiraf looks decent too. I feel like how I'm going to play this is Rillaboom Primarina with Farigiraf. I'm going to do something similar, and then Ursaluna in the back. Setting up Trick Room, and then going from there to just wallop the opponent. Latios is also interesting as a ground switch-in, thanks to the Levitate ability. I am curious of why Latios over Latias. Latias tends to be a little bit more defensive, so they're probably going to invest more into the special attack for Latios. It's a good Pokemon, let me tell you. Latios is really strong. Just something to think about. Alright, so it looks like they're going to go ahead and send out King Gambit and Ogerpon. Yep, they're trying to catch in an Incineroar switch-in. But I think for now, I don't mind this, just because I can... Alright, so I think for now, I'm going to go ahead and fake out into Ogerpon, and I will... I would expect Ogerpon to protect. So I'm actually going to fake out into King Gambit. And I'm going to Moonblast it. Yeah, I do run into the risk of potentially activating Weakness Policy. Oh, no, Defiant. How about Farigiraf in the back, right? I'm actually going to U-turn into Ogerpon, and then protect Primarina. Okay, so they didn't go for Protect either. Cool. Okay, that was good to see. They just went straight on the offense, but I could have faked out then pretty safely. That does a lot of damage, which is great. So I'll bring in Farigiraf here. I'd imagine they're going to probably set up Swords Dance. Yeah, okay. That's kind of interesting, because Kowtow Cleave and Iron Head are pretty effective into Farigiraf now. I don't mind using Trick Room. And I think I'll switch into Rillaboom again. That does give me another opportunity to use Fake Out, which I can try to use to my advantage. I think the main thing is, how do I stop King Gambit in the long run from going too crazy? Yeah, so we're going to get the Wood Hammer naturally into Farigiraf. Sure. Good damage from Rocky Helmet. And Recoil already knocks out Ogerpon, so that gives Primarina a little bit of breathing room here. Are we going to see Kowtow Cleave? Yeah, okay. But that means the following turn I'll be able to fake out into King Gambit. So Farigiraf did what it needed to do, take a pretty big hit. But yeah, Sucker Punch is definitely going to be something I have to contend with. I'll bring back in Primarina, and I think we can now... Cool. This makes it a little bit easier to now fire off these Hyper Voices. Although the opponent has not Terra'd yet, so we do need to be mindful of that. I am going to Hyper Voice here, and I am going to go ahead and use Fake Out on King Gambit. I think the main thing Entei would want to do would be... Oh, it decides not to Terra. That's kind of big. Okay. Sure, Sacred Fire is fine. And Entei eats a berry. Okay. Okay. My guess here is that Entei would want to Terra now. We saw Entei outsped, and I outspeed King Gambit naturally. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Hyper Voice, and then I am going to go ahead and fire off a U-turn into King Gambit. Alright. I do want to be mindful of a Sucker Punch. So I will glide into Gambit. Sure. Okay. Alright, so Gambit actually outspeeds Primarina, which is good to know. Does a decent amount, though. But this is +2 now. Alright, we were able to knock out Entei, which is huge. Alright, so looking okay so far. One of the challenges here is that we got low health King Gambit versus mid health Primarina +1. He's at +2, and they have Iron Hands. Okay. You can only fake out one Pokemon. So I'm going to take this opportunity to Hyper Voice both, and I'm going to Earth Power. Hyper Voice both. And Blood Moon into Gambit. Because you can fake out Ursaluna. You can cleave. That was smart for them not to... Okay, so we're able to knock out Gambit. But if you went after... Oh, okay. We got something. We got a game still. Protecting there would have definitely have given us a game for sure, but yeah, it was tough because it's like, okay, well, fake out. I don't want to lose momentum, right? Because it would be easier to fake out one, and if I protected another, I would have lost. King Gambit was definitely a threat at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and protect for now, just to see what Hands wants to do. I'm still not committing to Terra, so I'm kind of worried about that. And it goes for Wild Charge. Okay. They've only seen Hyper Voice, so I don't think they've seen Moonblast yet. So I'm going to Terra Grass, I'm going to Moonblast into Hands. And I'm hopeful that 2 Moonblasts will be enough. If they go for Wild Charge, then luckily the Weak Coil of that will be enough. But we'll see what Terra they opt for. If they go for Water, then this is still my strongest attack. I'm at +1, so I'm hopeful that will help out. And they don't go for a Terra, which is huge. Okay, show me Wild Charge. That doesn't matter. Yeah, they predicted well. They went for a Drain Punch. Okay. Okay, so this is the question asked. I think we just want to protect. We just want to figure it out. Yeah. I don't want to rush into a decision and lose the game right there. Iron Hands also does not have any other priority besides Fake Out. So Fire Terror, perfect. We'll Hyper Voice next turn and we'll win. Yeah. So that could have been a mistake. It would have been like, oh, I'm close to victory. Let me Moonblast again. But here, since we have Protect, let him give me the Terror. Give me that information. Right? Perfect. They Drain Punch. I get to use Hyper Voice and I'll win this. Perfect. And we got the KO. Yeah. I think that if they predicted, if we Terrored at the same time and they predicted, then it would have been a whole different ball game. But yeah, this was pretty clean of like, oh cool. I think the best Terror they could have had would have been Grass Terror or Water Terror for sure. But we got it. We defeated Bread. Take that. Extra carbohydrates and sugars we don't need. I'm a big fan of Bread, unfortunately. But great battle. I'm super excited. This has been fun. Let's get some hype. I'm excited. That was awesome.